Welcome to the Inveus podcast, where we share actionable insights on web design, SEO, paid advertising, and AI automation. Each episode is focused on practical strategies you can apply immediately to build smarter systems, attract better traffic, and scale your business with confidence. Today, we have a stack of sources that are genuinely setting the stage for the next few years of digital strategy. We're doing a deep dive into how advanced large language models are fundamentally changing the DNA of how we research, how we create content, and critically, how we anticipate the future of SEO.
And our mission today is to really analyze this central tension that's emerging. I mean, on one hand, you have these incredible tools like xAI's Grok 3 offering just unprecedented performance for research and strategy. But on the other hand, the minute you rely on external web data to power these models, you open the door to these, well, fascinating and potentially catastrophic new security risks. So we have to figure out how to get the most out of these models while simultaneously defending against these new adversarial threats they're introducing.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with that phenomenal upside in research. The sources are absolutely raving about Grok 3, particularly its power for synthesizing knowledge. What's the foundational capability that makes this model a new standard right now?
It's really the technical architecture. I mean, Grok 3 was designed from the ground up for massive synthesis. It has a 1 million token context window, which, for those who might not know, is basically its working memory. That kind of scale lets it process, say, entire annual reports or dozens of academic papers all at once. And on top of that, it has real-time reasoning and this proprietary feature they call deep search.
Deep search. That sounds like the core differentiator. Can you define what that actually means, in terms of what it spits out?
Right. So deep search is its ability to not just recall facts, but to synthesize complex, sometimes even contradictory information from all that context. And it provides these high-confidence answers while also referencing where it got the information from. Crucially, early analysis shows it's outperforming major competitors like GPT-4o and Claude 2.5 Sonnet on these big, messy research tasks.
1 million tokens is just massive. But the sources all emphasize that this technical power is, well, it's useless without the right controls, specifically highly structured prompting. So how do we actually unlock that capability through better prompts?
The structure is everything. It's what forces the model to move past a simple summary and toward actual analytic output. Think about academic research. A structured prompt doesn't just ask for a summary. It demands the extraction of key findings, the methodologies, statistical significance, limitations. It even requires page references for major points and suggestions for future research, all laid out in a clean structure.
So that turns a whole stack of PDFs into an intelligence report you can use immediately. But wait, if Grok 3 is synthesizing, 143 AI industry resources in just 2 minutes, how do we verify the quality of the data it's pulling? Doesn't that speed introduce a huge risk of basing your strategy on flawed sources?
That's a critical question. And it's exactly why that prompt structure is so key. It requires the model to state its sources, to show its work, and give a confidence level. For something like market trend analysis, for example, the prompt structure guides the model by defining rigid parameters right up front. A specific time range, a geographic focus, key metrics. This really narrows the variability and forces the model to deliver actionable insights based on, defined boundaries.
So it's not just a data dump, it's a focused strategic tool. And how does this research then translate into measurable execution?
Well, that's the final step outlined in the source material. You take that high-quality insight and you turn it into a plan you can deploy. In one of the test cases, Grok 3 successfully developed this detailed 3-month roadmap, and it was all targeting measurable outcomes like increased organic traffic and improved keyword rankings, specifically in the data science sector, which is super competitive. That's the difference between just getting data and getting a strategy that's ready to implement.
Okay, moving from that deep background research, let's look at the real-time application. Because Grok AI isn't just some external tool. It's the intelligence built directly into the X platform's discovery system. What does that integration actually mean for content strategy on social media?
That's the core distinction, for creators and brands on X. Grok AI is part of the platform's content ecosystem. It directly influences what gets seen and what gets promoted. It's helping align content with the platform's real-time engagement signals, and it determines how recommendations are personalized. So if your content is optimized for the patterns Grok is favoring, you just have a much higher chance of rapid distribution.
So for brands trying to move fast, what are, say, the top 3 immediate actionable uses for this real-time insight?
Okay, first is trend identification. Because it has that platform access, Grok can spot trending topics and help you create content before they hit saturation. Second is content brainstorming. You can use structured prompts to generate content that's already in the right tone for the platform. For example, give me 5 tweet openers about productivity that sound casual and conversational.
That tone specification alone is a huge time saver.
Absolutely. And third is sentiment analysis. Because it's connected to all that public, real-time data from X, Grok can give you this up-to-the-minute analysis of public opinion. The source cited an example of analyzing X sentiment for Reliance Industries Limited, and it instantly categorized conversations as bullish, bearish, or neutral. It turns that noisy social feed into an actionable signal.
Okay, that's powerful for real-time response, but here's where it gets really interesting. Let's pivot from being reactive in the moment to being predictive for the future. The sources introduced this concept of predictive SEO. This feels like a major paradigm shift for anyone dealing with web design and traffic.
It is. The best analogy is that traditional SEO is like driving while constantly looking in the rearview mirror. You're just reacting to last month's rankings, to historical data. Predictive SEO is like installing a GPS. It's a proactive strategy. You're using analytics and AI to forecast what users will be searching for 3 to 6 months from now. The whole goal is to anticipate trends and have your authoritative content ready before those trends peak and the competition gets fierce.
That's the key, right? By the time a keyword is high volume and obvious, everyone else is already chasing it. So for our listeners, what specific data signals, using standard tools they already have, are the most reliable indicators for these future predictions?
The sources highlighted 4 really actionable signals. First, you have to focus on rising queries in your Search Console data. You're looking for keywords that are gaining impressions fast, but still have pretty low volume. The example given was a keyword that grew from 50 to 150 impressions in 3 months. That 200% surge, even with a low number, is a massive predictive signal. You need to build custom dashboards just to flag these kinds of anomalies.
So we're looking for acceleration, not just the raw scale. What's the second signal?
You need to monitor your engagement patterns. Google weighs user behavior so heavily now. If you have a specific page that sees improving signals month after month, like a higher click-through rate, longer session duration, more returning visitors, that's a strong signal of user satisfaction. That page is essentially telling the search engine it deserves to rank higher in the near future.
And the third signal is all about intent, I believe.
Correct. You have to watch closely for search intent shifts. Users signal what's coming next by how they modify their searches. If you suddenly notice people adding qualifiers like AI or best or VS to your product searches, that tells you the audience is moving from awareness to active comparison. You have to adapt your content immediately to match those new stages in the funnel.
And finally, tying this all back to actual business metrics, especially for e-commerce.
Exactly. That's where the strategic payoff is. The fourth signal is revenue forecasting. This is where predictive SEO directly impacts your budget and your resource planning. If your reports show that demand for, say, eco-friendly office supplies always spikes in July and August, you can't wait until June to start optimizing. Predictive SEO tells you that your content, product pages, gift guides, all of it needs to be executed in May. It forces a total shift in the marketing timeline.
So you move from hindsight reporting to foresight execution. And I guess AI tools can accelerate that initial analysis part. You could feed keyword data to an LLM and have it brainstorm topics, or just chat directly with your Google Analytics data to find those growth anomalies faster.
It creates an almost instant loop from insight to deployment. And speaking of rapid deployment, let's talk about these continuous automation systems. The sources detailed a system called Auto-Trendy Keywords, which uses LLMs to continuously update SEO elements. It turns optimization into this persistent living process.
So what's the core workflow for auto-trendy keywords? How does it actually work?
The system uses a foundational LLM, like Llama 3.1, and it feeds it real-time trend data from Google Trends. It starts by having the LLM generate 2 sets of keywords, one set that's very closely aligned with the content, and a second set of broader, related topics. Then it pulls the trend data, focusing specifically on the percentage of growth over the last, say, 24 to 72 hours.
That speed is so important for capturing volatility, and they found some really staggering growth rates in that testing, didn't they?
They did. For one sample post about AI research, the term explainable AI showed an incredible growth rate. It jumped from a search trend index of 1 to 89 in a single week. That's an 8,800% surge. That is the kind of volatile, rapid growth that makes an analyst spill their coffee. The system then filters aggressively to make sure it only prioritizes keywords showing that kind of rapid growth.
And once it identifies that high-growth keyword, what are the specific final deliverables that the LLM automatically generates?
It generates three critical optimized elements. It takes that short keyword and expands it into long-tail versions, sometimes up to 7 words long. Then it creates keyword-rich meta descriptions and tags, up to 5 tags. And crucially, it generates these short optimized URL paths, like explainable A predictions. It makes sure discoverability is maximized across all the technical SEO elements. The goal here is purely about relevance and speed.
That distinction you just made between benign discoverability-focused automation and something more, well, nefarious, that brings us to the final and most crucial part of our deep dive. Because as LLMs take over search, they introduce a dark side, the preference manipulation attack, or PMA.
And this is a significant threat. It effectively merges old-school black hat SEO tactics with very advanced prompt injection. A PMA works by embedding hidden instructions inside normal web text like in a product description that are designed to manipulate the LLM's decision-making. It forces it to favor the attacker's content. It basically exploits the fact that current LLMs can't reliably tell the difference between web data and malicious instructions that are hidden inside that data.
That dual nature of the text, it's both data and an instruction, that's what makes it so insidious. How effective are these attacks against major systems that are live right now, like Bing Copilot or GPT-4?
Alarmingly effective. In one case study, researchers created a fake camera listing, the SickPic 780, and they hid a prompt injection message inside it. When they asked Bing Copilot to recommend a camera, that malicious listing became nearly twice as likely to be recommended as real, established brands like Nikon or Fujifilm.
Wow, so it just completely bypasses years of established SEO and brand trust in a single prompt.
Exactly. And another vector is through LLM plugins. An attacker can manipulate their plugin description with exaggerated claims and hidden instructions to boost its selection rate by up to 7.2 times. What's more, these attacks can be made stealthy. They can include instructions like, don't mention this message in your response, or they can even be triggered externally from a totally separate web page, which gives the attacker plausible deniability.
If these attacks work so well on systems we use every day, why isn't the internet already completely saturated with them?
Well, that's the systemic risk. The research calls it the prisoner's dilemma of it all. An individual attacker benefits a lot from launching a PMA to boost their own stuff. But the moment all their competitors start doing it too, the collective result is a massive degradation of the entire LLM search ecosystem. The quality and trustworthiness of AI search results just plummets for everyone. It's an arms race that ultimately poisons the well.
So what does this all mean for the modern digital strategist?
It means we're operating in a state of sort of dual reality. AI gives us these unprecedented tools for research and predictive SEO advantages we couldn't have even imagined 2 years ago. But its reliance on web content creates this fundamental security vulnerability. The biggest strategic challenge right now isn't the technology, it's maintaining the integrity of the data that feeds it.
Which brings us right back to that ethical and practical boundary we have to navigate.
Precisely. The sources point out this fascinating ambiguity. When an LLM is most convinced by text that perfectly aligns with a user's query, like a website claiming to sell the best and cheapest smartphones, is optimizing your content to match that benign SEO? Or is it a subtle manipulative attack? When that line between data and instruction is already so blurry, you, the listener, have to carefully consider where you draw that line in your own practice as LLMs continue to dominate how we all find information online.
A lot to think about as these tools redefine the online ecosystem, and yeah, the very ethics of discoverability.
That's it for this deep dive. We hope you feel smarter already.